All right, so are you ready to jump into some fantasy Premier League action for Game Week 11?
Always.
Because we're looking at some pretty wild transfer trends.
Yeah.
Where people are actually selling off some of the top players. And we're going to figure out, is this like a stroke of genius, or are these managers headed for a major meltdown?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
We've got a great article from the Premier League website to help us break it all down.
Okay.
It's called FPL GW11 Stats. Will Haaland inflict pain as most sold player? And it was published today, November 9th, 2024. So it's got all the latest.
It's fresh off the press.
Exactly. And to help us make sense of all these stats and trends, I've got our expert here.
Yeah.
So let's start with the big one, Erling Haaland.
Okay.
This guy is like a goal-scoring machine.
For sure.
The most expensive player in the game.
Yep.
But over 650,000 managers decided to sell him this week.
Wow.
What is going on?
I know, it's a really bold move.
It is.
And the article does point out that he's only scored 1 goal in the last 5 games. So, I mean, for a player at that price, people are expecting a lot more.
Right.
So maybe they're looking to free up some of that budget
Makes sense.
to bring in some other players who are in better form right now.
So are people just panicking?
It's possible.
Over a little bit of a dip in form?
Yeah, I mean, look, his next match is against Brighton.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, he's done pretty well against them in the past.
Right.
But there's always that uncertainty.
Yeah, for sure.
And some managers might just be thinking short term. You know,
Yeah.
trying to capitalize on players who are scoring consistently right now.
Okay, but the article also mentions something about Haaland's underlying stats still being really strong.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
Okay, so underlying stats, these are like the secret weapon for FPL analysis.
Ooh.
We're going beyond just the goals and assists
Okay.
and looking at, you know, is a player getting into good positions?
Okay.
Are they creating chances consistently? So, for example, in the last 5 game weeks, Haaland is either leading the league or tied for the lead in shots. Shots inside the box, big chances created, shots on target.
So even though he's not scoring as much as people would like,
Right.
he's still doing a lot of the right things that could lead to those goals.
Exactly.
So it's like he's a volcano that's just dormant for a little bit,
Yeah.
but it could erupt at any moment.
Any moment.
But then again, selling him does free up a ton of money
It does.
to invest elsewhere.
Yep. So it's a tough call.
So what's the verdict?
I think it really depends on your strategy and how much risk you're willing to take.
Okay.
If you're playing the long game and you believe in those underlying stats,
Yeah.
you know, holding on to him could pay off big time.
Oh.
But if you're chasing points right now and you want to jump on players who are in form,
Yeah.
then selling him might make sense.
It's a classic FPL dilemma.
It is.
All right, so what about these other players who are being sold off in huge numbers? The article lists Ollie Watkins, Cole Palmer, Kai Havertz, and Luis Diaz.
Right.
What's the deal with them?
Let's break them down one by one.
Okay.
Ollie Watkins, I mean, he was phenomenal last season.
He was.
Like top of the league for goals and assists, just on fire.
Yep.
But this season, he's hit a bit of a dry spell.
Okay.
And that's probably why over 457,000 managers have decided to move him on.
So they're not sure if last season was just a fluke.
Yeah, where you see that form again?
Right.
Big question.
Okay. And then there's Cole Palmer.
Now, this is interesting.
Yeah.
This guy finished top of the entire FPL world last season.
Wow.
Top of the world.
And people are selling him.
Over 432,000 managers have sold him this week.
I don't get it.
I know it's surprising, right?
Yeah.
Well, the article mentions that he's carrying a minor injury.
Okay.
And he's got a tough fixture coming up against Arsenal. So maybe managers are just trying to get ahead of the curve.
Okay.
Yeah, sell him before his price drops or he misses game time.
So it's more about preventing losses. Yeah.
Than reacting to poor performance.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. What about Kai Havertz?
So he's been pretty steady,
Okay.
consistently picking up decent points, but he's not exactly setting the world on fire.
Right.
Over 401,000 managers have decided to part ways with him.
So is it that he's not living up to expectations?
Maybe.
Or are there just better options out there for his price?
Could be a bit of both.
Okay.
I mean, managers might be looking for players with a higher ceiling, you know, someone who can really rack up the points.
Yeah.
And his price isn't exactly cheap.
Right.
So.
All right. And finally, Luis Diaz.
Okay, so this one's really interesting.
Okay.
Because he just scored a hat trick in the Champions League midweek.
He did.
You'd think everyone would be trying to get him in their team.
I know.
But over 383,000 managers have actually sold him.
Even after a hat trick.
Even after a hat trick.
What is it?
All about those Premier League minutes.
Okay.
He's only started one Premier League game out of the last 4.
And that's a big red flag for FPL managers.
I see.
They want players who are going to be on the pitch week in, week out.
So even scoring a bunch of goals in another competition doesn't guarantee you a spot in an FPL team.
It doesn't.
If you're not getting those Premier League starts.
If you're not playing, you're not earning points.
Wow, that's a really good point.
It is.
Consistent game time is key.
It's crucial.
You can be the most talented player in the world,
Yeah.
but if you're not on the pitch,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
You're not getting those points.
That's driving a lot of these transfer decisions.
It is.
So it's not just about picking the best players.
Yeah.
It's also about understanding
Right.
the context,
Yeah.
the little details that can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
And the article really focuses on the risks of selling these popular players, but it doesn't really talk about,
Right.
what about the potential rewards of
Yeah.
bringing in their replacements?
That's a good point.
Like, isn't that a crucial part of the decision?
Oh, for sure.
Every transfer has 2 sides.
Exactly.
You're not just selling a player.
Right.
You're also bringing someone new in.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we can get so caught up in, like,
The hype.
the allure of this shiny new player.
It's like the grass is always greener.
Yeah, exactly.
We're so focused on what we don't have.
Right.
We forget about the potential of what we already have.
So how to avoid falling into that trap?
Well, I think it comes down to strategic thinking,
Okay.
looking beyond just the names and the points, and considering the bigger picture.
So, for example, if you decide to sell Haaland,
Okay.
that frees up a massive 15.3 million in your budget.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
You could really reshape your team with that.
So you could go for another top midfielder who's in amazing form, someone who's got great upcoming fixtures,
Right.
or you could spread that money around.
Diversify, yeah.
Strengthen multiple positions. Zigzag. Bring in some in-form players.
Yep.
Maybe some budget-friendly options to give your squad more depth.
That's a good strategy.
So like a trade-off
Yeah.
between...
Concentrating your resources
Yeah.
or spreading the wealth.
Okay. And the same logic applies
Yeah.
to the other players we talked about.
Uh-huh.
So like selling Watkins
Yep.
could open up the possibility of
Yeah.
bringing in a striker who's scoring goals for fun right now.
Right.
Maybe someone who's kind of under the radar,
Yeah, flying under the radar.
but has the potential to really rack up those points.
Exactly.
And then getting rid of Palmer
Okay.
with his injury concerns and the tough fixture that could allow you to invest in a midfielder
Yeah.
who's guaranteed to play
Right.
and might have even more potential for points.
It's all about finding those players
Yeah,
who offer the best value for money,
right.
current form, and future potential.
So we need to look beyond the hype
Yeah.
and make smart decisions that fit with our overall strategy. It's
Start
like
with
we're all little FPL managers,
We are.
but instead of dealing with real players
Right.
and their contracts and stuff,
Yeah, all the drama.
we're managing this virtual team making tough choices.
It's all based on data, intuition,
Yeah.
a little bit of gut feeling.
And that's what makes FPL so fun
It is.
and rewarding.
It's a puzzle. It's a game of strategy. It's a test of your football knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's not just about winning.
Right.
It's about the journey, the learning process, the thrill of outscoring your rivals.
This has been really insightful.
It has.
We've analyzed the data,
Yeah.
explored the strategies. We've even talked about like the psychology
Your psychology of FPL
behind those transfer decisions.
is fascinating.
It's amazing how much depth there is to this game.
There is.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
We have. There's always more to learn.
Right.
More data to analyze. More strategies to explore.
So what are you going to do with this information?
That's the question.
What are you going to prioritize
Yeah.
when you're making those transfer decisions? Are you going to follow the crowd?
Or trust your gut.
Yeah. Are you going to chase those short-term gains?
Or build for the long haul
These are the questions.
that every FPL manager faces.
Yeah.
And the answers are going to shape your team's destiny.
For the rest of the season.
Exactly.
So it's like we've got the blueprint,
Yeah.
but we still have to build the house.
Exactly.
We've got all this knowledge and these tools.
Right.
But now it's up to us
Yeah.
to actually apply them to our own FPL teams.
To your own unique situation.
Exactly. So should we be looking at these top players being sold as like cautionary tales?
I think so, yeah.
Or are they opportunities?
I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
They remind us that even the best players can have a dip in form.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to make tough decisions and move on.
Uh-huh.
But it also, it creates these opportunities.
Yeah.
For those who are brave enough to be a little bit different.
To go against the grain.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a hidden gem out there.
Could be.
Someone who's about to become like the next FPL superstar.
The next big thing.
That's what keeps it exciting.
It does.
There's always that element of surprise.
Yeah.
That chance to uncover a hidden gem and ride that wave of success.
Absolutely.
This deep dive has been fantastic.
It has.
We've analyzed the data.
Yeah.
We've looked at the strategies. We even talked about like the psychology.
The psychology of it all, yeah.
Behind these transfer decisions.
It's a fascinating game.
It is. So to everyone listening,
Yes.
good luck with your Gameweek 11 decisions.
Good luck.
May your captains haul,
Yes.
your differentials shine,
Shine bright
and your ranks soar.
to the top of the table.
That's a wrap on another deep dive
It is.
into the world of Fantasy Premier League.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us, and may your arrows be green.